OnePlus is here with a new feature-packed mid-ranger, the OnePlus Nord 3. The specs look great here, so could this be the OnePlus flagship killer we've been waiting for? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our OnePlus Nord 3 review. Unlike the more premium OnePlus phones, which are priced closer to flagships, the Nord series phones have traditionally been value-packed mid-rangers. But the Nord 3 goes a step beyond its predecessors, packing more upmarket specs, like a flagship-grade display, a powerful chipset, and fast charging. The design of the Nord 3 is similar to what we've seen from OnePlus in the past, except for the separate camera bumps, which is in fashion now. The flat glass back is very glossy and mirror-like, and its edges taper into the flat plastic frame. As is typical for OnePlus phones, you get a 3-position slider on the side to control your notification alerts. And the Nord 3 has IP54 rated ingress protection too. At 6.74 inches, the Nord 3's OLED display is larger than previous models, and is higher res too. It features a 120Hz refresh rate and Dragon Trail glass protection. One thing we notice here is that OnePlus has really cut down the size of the bezels, lending the phone a more premium look. At 450 ppi, this display is quite sharp, and you get good contrast as well. Plus, there's support for 10-bit color and HDR10 Plus video. The color accuracy can be very good too if you opt for the right color mode. The brightness of the display is excellent. We measured a maximum of over 500 nits with the manual slider, and this can boost to over 1100 nits in auto mode when in bright sun. The refresh rate handling is pretty straightforward. You get the full 120Hz for buttery smooth swiping and scrolling, and when the screen is idling, it can dial down to 60Hz to save energy. Unfortunately, there's no support for high frame rate gaming, much like on other OnePlus, Realme, or Oppo phones. For audio, the Nord 3 has stereo speakers, and the top speaker has grills at the front and at the top. Loudness is very good, and you get nice vocals and highs, and even some bass. If you'd like to check out for yourself and compare to other phones, you can use the provided link. The Nord 3 has an under-display fingerprint reader for biometrics, which is quite speedy. And the Nord 3 comes with 128 or 256 gigs of storage, but that isn't expandable on top of that through microSD. The interface of the Nord 3 is OnePlus's Oxygen OS 13.1 on top of Android 13. Since they're all owned by the same company, you get basically the same software experience between OnePlus, Realme, and Oppo phones. Still, there are a couple of features exclusive to OnePlus. Swiping down on the home screen provides you not only with a global search, but also more space for widgets. There are some OnePlus-specific clock-style widgets for the home screen too. If you're interested to learn more about the UI's other features, you can check out our dedicated Realme UI video. Now let's talk about the chipset. It's a high-end MediaTek Dimensity 9000, which is a considerable upgrade over the Dimensity 1200 and 1300 we've seen in previous models. Whereas the previous Nord's performance was solid, but nothing special, the Nord 3 is one of the best performing phones in its price bracket. In benchmarks, the scores are closer to flagship territory than its peers. Unsurprisingly, the phone runs smoothly, and heavy gaming and multitasking are no problem here. When it comes to the thermals, the Nord 3 is a mixed bag though. During our CPU stress test, the phone was able to maintain high sustained performance, but we observed heavy throttling during the GPU test. The Nord 3 packs a 5000 mAh battery, and the battery life here is good, with the phone earning an endurance rating of 103 hours in our tests. And topping up the battery is super fast, thanks to the bundled 80-watt SuperVolt charger. With it, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 98% in half an hour, and 15 minutes on the charger got us up to 61%. Now we're onto the cameras. The Nord 3 has a 50-megapixel main cam on the back, paired with an 8-megapixel ultrawide and a 2-megapixel macro camera. It's a very similar setup to what we saw on the previous Nord 2, but the main cam sensor here has been swapped with a higher-end Sony IMX890. With 4:1 pixel binning applied, the main cam's photos come out at 12.5 megapixels. They're great, with plenty of detail, no noise, high contrast, and balanced dynamic range. The colors are quite lively, but perhaps a bit over the top. We did notice some excessive sharpening when zooming into pixel level, lending an overprocessed look. Portrait mode works quite well on the Nord 3. The subject separation is proficient, the blur is convincing, and the subjects come out detailed and sharp. There is also a 2x zoom toggle in the viewfinder, and the results are decent. better than you'd get from a simple crop and upscale. The detail level is average, but there's no noise, and the colors, contrast, and dynamic range are respectable. In low light conditions, the Nord 3 will automatically apply night mode to its photos. These from the main cam are quick to capture, and the quality is great. There's good exposure, plenty of detail, balanced sharpness, and low noise. The colors are well rendered, and the dynamic range is pretty wide too. The main camera records video in up to 4K at 60 FPS. The video quality is impressive, with plenty of detail and balanced processing, realistic colors, high contrast, and good dynamic range. There's no electronic stabilization in 4K though. To get EIS on the main cam, you need to record in 1080p resolution. In low light, 4K videos from the main camera are solid, with good detail, realistic colors, and no noise. The exposure could use a boost though. Now let's see some photos from the ultra-wide cam. They have adequate detail levels, low noise, good contrast, and decent dynamic range. The colors seem a bit less saturated than those from the main cam, but the overprocessed look is still present here. In low light conditions, auto night mode photos from the ultra-wide are good. They take a little more time than the main cams to process, but they're still well exposed, with enough detail, low noise, wide dynamic range, and lively colors. The ultra-wide cam's video capture is limited to 1080p. The quality is good though, with a lot of detail and contrast, no noise, and good dynamic range. The field of view isn't that much wider than the main cams though. There's a crop due to the always-on EIS. The macro cam is hardly praiseworthy. As you'd expect, there isn't a lot of detail at 2 megapixels, and you get visible noise and inconsistent colors. Finally, we have selfies taken with a 16 megapixel front-facing cam. They're alright. The sharpness and detail aren't impressive, but the exposure is nicely balanced, while contrast, colors, and dynamic range are good. So that's the OnePlus Nord 3. It feels like OnePlus has finally gone back to its flagship-killing roots, giving us a phone with premium performance that doesn't break the bank. You get a powerful chipset and a high-end display. The battery life is good, there's fast charging, and the camera setup is decent too. Sure, there are a few nitpicks, like the lack of video stabilization in 4K. But overall, the Nord 3 is a solid high-performance mid-ranger that's worth recommending. Thanks for watching guys. If you're looking for alternatives to the OnePlus Nord 3, one option could be the Poco F5, or you could have a look at the Realme 11 Pro Plus. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.